All right, Chris, midweek has been an adventure at times, not a lot of mystery tonight. How do you feel like the team played?
I felt good. I mean, we got a decent start from Pico. Offensively, we've been kind of hitting our stride a little bit. I feel like as an offense, we're trying to figure out a lot about ourselves, and the last 4 or 5 games, I felt like we've been pretty good offensively, and we had some big swings there in the, what was that, 3rd or 4th inning to get us on the board, and then they just kept adding it on. So, and then our back end of the bullpen pitched well, you know.
Speaking of big swings, RJ, 5 home runs now in just over a week's time. What's going on with him?
He's a really good player who started slow. You know, Kellum got the attention for starting slow, but RJ was probably not far behind him. And he's gotten hot, and he's just gotten hot with his power. You know, sometimes power comes in streaks, and we're seeing that with him right now. He's kind of got that one swing grooved, and he's hit some big hits this last week.
You talked about the lineup starting to kind of find its stride a little bit. Do you feel like, you know, you tinkered with it a little bit? Do you feel like you kind of settled in a little bit on those positions?
I think so. I mean, I think we're you know, pretty solid lineup. We've kind of played the same one here or there, and maybe a little matchup, you know, in the future. But I think for the most part, we're playing the same guys every day right now.
You talked about power coming in streaks. How important is it for Cam James to get a homer tonight? Do you think they can kind of spark his power this year?
It'd be big. It's big for Cam. You know, I've said it, and Cam and Luke and LT probably haven't hit their stride yet. They haven't played bad at all, but they just haven't, you know, been what they usually are. So I think if we get those guys going, it makes our lineup so much better.
You have Cummins, Clark, and Yeager at bottom of the lineup. Those are 3 of your top 4 home run guys. How big is that to have production like that at the bottom of the order?
It's good. We need a little more up front, you know, I think. But, you know, those guys are big power guys. I mean, you look at them physically and everything else, and they're starting to get it going. So it's, you know, Brad and Kellum have been really good, you know, here for a while. So it's a, you know, you want to have length to your lineup if you're going to have success, and right now we feel like we can do that.
One of those early season games, I think you had said you were a little frustrated with guys trying to hit, you know, home runs too often. Do you feel like the power they've come naturally with just their approach at the plate?
They are, and we've played in some nights where the wind's been blowing out. Now, I don't think any of the home runs were wind helped tonight, but, you know, Georgia was the same way this weekend, and a lot of ballparks that we play in were just, you know, Georgia had the wind blowing out, just like it was tonight. So we're built for that a little bit right now. Probably, you know, so we got some big guys. If they hit it, it'll go a long way. So I don't think anybody's trying for it. I just think it's natural.
Seems like Jackson's starting to find himself in the bullpen in that role. I think 6 guys up, and they've all gone down with strikeouts the last 2 appearances. What have you seen from him the last 2 games especially?
We're just trying to get his confidence back and let him throw in 1-inning stints to get his arm strength back up. And I think that's the biggest thing we've seen. The stuff is better. You know, the first couple weeks, it'd be good in the first, and it would fall off quick. Right now, he's been able to hold his stuff, and each outing, the stuff is a little better each time. It's a little harder. It's a little sharper. The breaking stuff is harder. If you notice, the sliders are mid-80s to upper 80s right now, which is where he needs to be.
The bullpen is basically lights out from Brandon Smith on. How much confidence does that give your guys to be able to go up and kind of shut
It's
it
good.
down?
I just wish I didn't have to use them all tonight. You know, you're hoping you get some better outings from some guys and some more length there. But they were good. I mean, those couple guys have been good lately. And then nobody threw too much. You know, I think Brock Auger threw 2, and he had 20 pitches. So it wasn't anything crazy. But we're still waiting for other guys to step up.
You looked a bit upset there, just taking Drew out of the game. Were you hoping to get some more out of him? And kind of what was he doing in the second inning that maybe – what was he doing in the first inning that he wasn't doing in the second?
He was throwing a slider for a strike. And so once he didn't throw a slider for a strike, everybody started hitting the fastball. So, yeah, it was frustrating, you know, because he needs to be better right there. So, and that's, you know, and I told him that on the mound. He understood it. I mean, he gets it. But, you know, he's got a really, really good slider. And he's got to stay focused. What happens is he comes in, we have a big inning. We go back out and we don't have the same focus as I had the inning before, and they hit him. And then it changes the game and changes, you know, a lot of different things in the game that, you know, he has to stay sharper.
You mentioned Brooks. He's a guy that's been very pitch efficient the last couple of outings. Had some outings earlier. He was a little bit shaky, I guess you could say. It's been a lot more pitches. What has really changed with him?
I just think he's getting comfortable. You know, it's not a, you know, he's a small town kid and pitch JUCO, and then you show up here and it's opening weekend, it's 35,000. You know, I mean, it's you have to get used to it a little bit, I think, is the key. And even at Tulane, you know, he balks, and we hadn't even called a signal yet. You know, like it was, you could just tell that the game was a little fast for him at that point. And I think the game has slowed down for him, and he's pitching to his abilities now. I think that's really the biggest part for him. He was good like that in our spring training and our fall, and But once everything started, so for some of these kids, it takes a little bit of time.
Was Hunter specifically trying there to get back to tie for the team leading home runs in the 8th inning, or was he just being
He's
unannounced?
always trying. So if you notice, unfortunately, he's trying too much. So he needs to. I told him after there was the inning we had the 3 home runs and he had the missile through the middle. And I told him, I said, man, that's one of my favorite swings is when you stay on a ball and just hit a line drive through the middle, because sometimes he does have a tendency to swing forward a little too much, even though he's really good and he can he'll hit a lot of them and he's got a lot more in him in his future. But sometimes just being able to stay on the ball and have a good swing and a bat is huge. He had a good night.
Another interesting competition going on. 324, Cumbus and James, they both come in and hit a single and a home run. You had 3 guys tied at 6 home runs. They all hit a home run tonight. So batting average championship is still tied. Home run lead is still tied. As a coach, how excited does that make you that there is this kind of competition offensively?
I don't think they realize it. I didn't even realize it when you told me that. So they're just fighting to dang have good at bats every time. So it's a good thing when they keep adding to it. So I guess that's the best part of it. But you'd be amazed how little sometimes we look at stats, and then sometimes we look at a lot of our opponents, and I have to make myself look at ours sometimes because just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. But I don't keep up with it probably as much as you do. So.
You got the turnaround now with Alabama. What do you kind of see from them, this season? How much have you looked at them, and how important is it, I guess, after Georgia to kind of come back and win this series?
They're a veteran team. They have a lot of those position players back from their regional team last year. We played them in the fall. They got some good guys, and they in our league they really went out and challenged themselves early. They played at Texas. They had a tough weekend last weekend and competed with Florida, who I think Florida's one of the better teams in our league. And I think it'll be a really tough weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I told our guys afterwards we got to be ready to go. So they've recruited really well the last couple of years.
Has there been any discussion or thought about what Brad Bohannon said last year about Starkville?
No, we don't. So I don't.
I
hope we have a hotel nice enough for them. Here in town. I think that'll be. Brad's actually a friend. I mean, I've told people this. I was the recruiting coordinator at Louisville. He was a recruiting coordinator at Kentucky for about 8 years, and we went head-to-head on every single kid in the Midwest. And I have a lot of respect for him because he's a really good recruiter and a coach. And I didn't like him. I like him more now than I did then because we went head-to-head on everybody. But I don't think that was meant for everybody's ears. So I think he was trying to talk to his alumni and everything else. But I think he has a lot of respect for our program.
And along those lines too, I mean, do you really need any more motivation when you got an SEC series coming up?
No, never. Just these are all big. I think our kids understand how big they all are and how well they want to play. So our kids aren't into all that. Like he's probably more adults and fans than it is players. So and coaches.